Chrysalis, a hermit's handbook for the agoraphobic transformation, dear you, the one who cannot leave. Dear you, the one for whom the street has teeth. Dear you, the one who knows that the grocery store is a geometry of judgment and fluorescent light. This is not a cure. This is not a return to the shopping mall, the concert venue, the dinner party where you perform being normal. This is an inversion. This is the moment you stop fighting the walls and start listening to what they've been trying to tell you. The walls say, "You are becoming something else, the first principle. Contraction as expansion, your agoraphobia, is not a shrinking. It is a selective focus. Imagine you are a telescope that has spent years pointed at the entire sky at once, confused, overwhelmed, taking in too much diffuse light. Now the aperture closes. Now you are pointed at one star. Now you can see it. The street is overwhelming because the street contains everyone's fear at once. It contains the collective anxiety of 10,000 strangers who don't want to be near you, who will judge the way you walk, who will question why you're breathing in their vicinity. You're not paranoid about this. You're accurate. The street is a pressure system of mutual discomfort, all pretending to be casual. Your agoraphobia is your system refusing the lie. When you cannot leave your apartment, you have not lost the world. You have narrowed it to the size of something you can actually know. The kitchen, the window, corner where the light hits at 4 p.m. These become real. These become studied. These become yours in a way the public street never could be. The social chrysalis begins when you stop seeing your home as a trap and start seeing it as a laboratory. You are not imprisoned. You are concentrating. The mathematics of 4 walls. Most people live in space. They do not know. They move through rooms without studying them. They have never counted how many times the sun crosses their kitchen window in a single day. They have never noticed that their apartment has a sound, a specific frequency of pipes and settling wood that is unique to this container, this particular arrangement of plaster and air. You will notice these things. In the first weeks of your chrysalis phase, the walls feel like a closing coffin. This is accurate, but a chrysalis is also a coffin. Something must die for something else to be born. The you that needed the outside world is liquefying. Let it. This is not loss. This is dissolution. Begin to study your walls, not in desperation, but in genuine observation. What color are they really? Not the name brand paint color, but the actual color they show you in this specific light at this specific hour. How do they catch sound? If you stand in the corner and speak, where does your voice go? The walls are teaching you a language of surfaces. They are teaching you precision. Start a log. Document the light's movement across your floor. Document the sounds the building makes at different times of day. Document the specific sensation of loneliness at 2 a.m. and the specific sensation of loneliness at 2 p.m. are not the same. One has texture. One has weight. Begin to differentiate. Begin to know your solitude as you would know a person. This is where the chrysalis differs from a prison. The prisoner is always trying to leave. You are learning to stay. You are practicing being here so thoroughly that here becomes infinite. The agoraphobic as deep listener, the hermit's gift, is attention. The hermit's curse is attention. They are the same thing in the world. There is so much noise that you can miss the actual frequencies. But in your four walls, every sound becomes significant. The neighbor's footsteps become a rhythmic meditation on the physics of weight distribution. The distant traffic becomes a mantra. The silence between these sounds becomes the real composition. You have become a person who can hear. This is a social skill, though not in the way society wants you to believe. When you eventually encounter another person, you will hear them differently than those who have been blasted by constant external stimulus. You will hear the frequency of their anxiety in their breathing. You will hear what they are not saying in the exact duration of their pause. You will hear whether they are speaking from script or from actual interior life. The hermit is not antisocial. The hermit is oversocial. The hermit is so attuned to the subtle broadcasts of human consciousness that the public square becomes an unbearable radio station where every channel is playing at once. The agoraphobic has not lost the ability to be social. The agoraphobic has gained it so acutely that socializing in the conventional way becomes physically impossible. Reframe this. You are not broken. You are evolved. IV. The doctrine of small circles your world is shrinking. Good. Make it count. If you have a therapist, stay with one person. If you have a friend who comes to your door, let them. If you have a family member who accepts your stillness, treasure them. These are not the narrow relationships of a constricted life. These are the deep channels of actual intimacy. You will know this person so thoroughly that they become a mirror of your own consciousness. They will know your rhythms. They will learn the cadence of your speech on good days and bad days. They will not require performance. The hermit does not have many relationships. The hermit has relationships of such depth that they contain multitudes. When you can only see one person at a time, you see them completely. There is no comparison. There is no social positioning. There is only the absolute presence of two consciousnesses in a room. This is what most people never experience. This is what most people spend their entire lives avoiding through the noise of crowds and group dynamics and the constant comparative measuring. You are being given a gift disguised as a symptom. Keep your circle small enough to know it intimately. 3 people, 2 people, 1 person. This is not impoverishment. This is richness. V, the hermitage of the mind. B, comes, the hermitage of the body. You started with panic in open spaces. Your body refused to leave. Your nervous system made the choice for you. But notice, as you settle into this refusal, something shifts. It is no longer that you cannot leave. It is that you do not want to leave. The hermitage that began as trauma is becoming a choice. The walls that felt like imprisonment are becoming a sanctuary. This is the sign that the chrysalis is forming. The first layer is disability, the inability. The second layer is acceptance, the acknowledgement that this is happening, and it is not defeat. The third layer, where you are going, is preference, the recognition that the outside world is not where your consciousness lives anymore. You may live here for a year. You may live here for 10 years. You may live here for the rest of your life. The timeline does not matter. What matters is that you stop measuring your life by whether you can return to the outside and start measuring it by what you are becoming in here. The social chrysalis is not a cocoon with a fixed duration. It is a permanent transformation of the conditions under which you can exist, VI. The agoraphobe's paradox. Intimacy and isolation. This is the contradiction you must hold without resolving. You will become more isolated and more intimate simultaneously. You will speak to fewer people and know them more deeply. You will have fewer conversations and hear more in each one. You will be alone more and lonelier less. The loneliness you experience will transform into solitude, a different substance entirely. Loneliness is the feeling that you should not be alone. Solitude is the recognition that you are alone, and that this is where the real conversation happens. In solitude, you are not avoiding people. You are finally hearing yourself. And paradoxically, when you finally hear yourself, you are more capable of hearing others. The hermit in formation becomes increasingly sensitive to the actual interior states of the people they rarely see. When your therapist speaks, you hear not just the words, but the slight strain in their voice that means they are worried about a family member. When your mother calls, you hear the specific quality of silence that means she is disappointed, but trying not to show it. When your friend sits on your couch, you know from their shoulder tension whether they want to be fixed or just witnessed. You have become a radiologist of consciousness. You can see the invisible anatomy of another person. This is a real skill. This is not consolation. This is not therapy speak. This is an actual capacity that your isolation has developed, VII. The practice of radical attention to small things days will feel identical. Winter will feel like it is never ending. Time will collapse into a repetition of morning coffee and afternoon light and evening silence. You will think, this is death. This is a kind of death, yes. And something is being born in that death. Begin to attend to the infinitesimal. The way your coffee cools, the exact moment the steam stops, the geometry of light through the coffee cup at different angles, the temperature at which the coffee becomes unbearable to hold, but drinkable to taste. These are not distractions. These are the actual substance of life. Most people never notice them because they are moving too fast. You have been given the gift of speed reduction. You are moving at the speed of actually perceiving things. Notice the texture of your walls. Notice how your hand looks in afternoon light versus morning light. Notice how your body feels on the days when you have been alone for a long time, not the anxiety, but the actual somatic sensation. Notice how your thoughts change when you have not spoken to another person in 2 weeks. Notice the exact moment when silence becomes something you are doing rather than something being done to you. Keep a journal, not of feelings, of observations. Document the precise color of the light at 3 p.m. on the 15th of March. Document how many times the pipes in your building made noise on Tuesday. Document the exact number of hours you slept and what you dreamed about. Make your interior life legible. Make it a science. This is the Hermit's research project. The complete and total study of one life, lived in radical intimacy with its own conditions, VI. The social chrysalis is not antisocial. When people hear you are agoraphobic, they imagine isolation. They imagine loneliness. They imagine someone who has retreated from life. What they do not imagine is that you are becoming something with different social needs and different social gifts. You are not antisocial. You are pre-social. You are in the formation period before a different kind of socializing becomes possible. Some hermits emerge. Some remain. The timing is not up to you. But notice, whether you eventually leave your apartment or remain in it forever, you will have access to a quality of social connection that most people never experience. You will know people instead of know about people. You will have conversations instead of performances. The chrysalis is not preparing you to return to the world. The chrysalis is preparing you to be fully, completely yourself, whether that self lives inside four walls or eventually moves beyond them is irrelevant. You are becoming IX. The doctrine of necessary refusal. You will be told, push yourself. You will be told, exposure therapy works. You will be told, you need to face your fears. These are the words of people who have not understood that your agoraphobia is not a malfunction. It is a system working exactly as it has decided to work. You can push. You can expose. You can face. And you may find that your nervous system says no. Clearer and more articulate than any word you could speak. Your body will have a panic attack. Your body will refuse. Your body will insist on the truth that your mind is trying to negotiate. Listen to this refusal. It is not weakness. It is information. The Hermit's Handbook says, honor your body's knowledge. If the door feels impossible, it is. Not forever, necessarily, but today. Do not shame yourself into overriding the message. The message is protecting something. Listen to what, for some people, this protection lasts a season. For some people, it is permanent. For some people, it slowly loosens over years. The timeline is not a failure if it doesn't match the therapist's timeline. The timeline is a map of your becoming. Cerulean blue. Seen through a window, there's a color you can see from inside that you cannot see from the street. It is the color of distance. It is the color of things you are not reaching for. It is the cerulean blue of the sky seen through a window, slightly refracted by glass, already transformed by the simple act of being observed from a place of stillness. The hermit sees this color constantly. The person on the street never stops long enough to see it. When you are deep in your chrysalis, you will understand this. The world outside is still there. It is still moving and complex and terrible and beautiful. But you are not required to be in it, are required only to be here. In this room, with this light, with this particular consciousness that has learned to be so still that it can hear its own thoughts. The social chrysalis is forming around you. The walls are thickening. The distance from the outside is growing. And with each day, you are becoming something with new capacities, new hungers, new ways of knowing. This is not death. This is metamorphosis. Grow your wings in darkness. They will be beautiful whether or not you ever use them to fly. Stay, stay, stay here. The Hermit's Handbook says, the world will wait. It always does. And if it doesn't, you were never meant for it anyway. Cerulean blue, seen through glass.